When do you think it's time to call quits on a fight? I've had been asking myself that question quite a lot lately, and I'll never, ever, ever walk away from a fight. I remember very clearly my dad said to me when I was younger, when I was going out for the first times, he said, "Never start a fight, but if you get in a fight, make sure you finish it. Do not walk away." So that's I don't really have a choice. I have to keep going no matter what cards I'm dealt, and I can't give up on the fight. I think I'm white pilled now. If anyone knows Michael Malice, he's got a book called The White Pill, where he talks about how we should still have hope because we still have a way we can win this fight, and how he gives the example of the Berlin Wall falling in East Berlin, East and West, and he talks about they didn't think those people living on the communism side didn't feel like that would ever end, and yet they still found freedom. And it takes a lot of people to fight and a lot of leaders to stand up. And I keep telling myself those kinds of things. There has been times in history where the good guys have won, and we just have to keep up the hope. Otherwise, we become nihilistic and black pilled. It's called these days. So once you get to that point, it's very hard to walk yourself back into being motivated to fight. So I give myself little pep talks about, even if you just change one person's mind or you make them see the light on something, especially for me, firearms, or if you point them in the direction of a book and then they're on this path to understanding liberty and eventually fighting for it. It's incremental steps as well. You're not going to change the world overnight, especially if you're just one person. But what does it take? I posted that on Sunday night when I was in my depression spiral. How many people does it take to fight for liberty? And that can look like different things. The fight doesn't have to be like I'm trying to do all these things and still trying to work with shooting organizations when there's so much at play against me, not just the culture of the organizations or some of the men in these positions, but also the other pressures they have, like taking funding from the state so they can't be as political or political at all. These are all the things that this is what the Australian political landscape looks like, and it's hard. It is so hard, and it's it gets to the point where you think, I'm not going to change anything. I should just go back to working at a makeup counter, which is what I had to do in Perth after I couldn't get a job following my Senate campaign, because I was enemy of the state. So I think there are times when you should back away from the fight and take time for yourself. And I've tried to do that a bit more as I've gotten older. And then I think there are also times where you weigh up everything that's in front of you, everything that's been in the past, and make a decision that's best for you and your family. And that's what I'm looking at now too. I'll keep going ahead with what I'm doing in WA with my legal action and interviewing the candidates and being involved on the ground in the lead up to the 8th of March. I'm definitely going to do that. I was always coming back to WA, so I'm committed to that fight, regardless of everything that's happened and how I've been treated, not just by the shooting organisations there, but my former party, the Libertarian Party, how I was treated there and why I'm not involved with them anymore, when I could very well have been the lead candidate if I didn't have the political opposition and the factions that have taken over that party doing everything they can to keep me out, which that's fine. I'm not going to sit at the table who pretend to be my friend but are actually my enemy, trying to achieve something that I'm not ever going to be a part of. So you do what's right for you. I know a lot of people are considering moving from Australia. I had another message today from an army veteran who kindly reached out to me and shared his story about his wife and him leaving WA during those dark years. So I feel like we are going to see a lot of Australians leave, if not to come back and save our country, because if I ever left, I would be thinking about Australia every day, because this is the country my grandfather fled the fascists for, and I do not want to see it fall to fascism in 2025, which is what's happened in WA. So we'll see what happens, but it's a marathon, not a sprint. I also remind myself that too when I'm trying so hard to get things done. You can't control other people or the time frame, but you can do, as long as you do something every day that will help your situation or help others. I think that's the best we can do at this rate, because this is a position we're in Australia at the moment. It's going to be a hard bloody slog to bring this country back, that's for sure.